Hi everyone, it is Ingrid. Thank you so much for being with us here today. So many beautiful cards. Lisa Marie, Rebecca, Chrissy, I mean, gorgeous. So many ideas. I am absolutely loving it. I am just making sure I have you popped up here on my iPad so that hopefully my comments will come through and I'll be able to interact with you. My iPad sometimes acts funny. Sometimes it lets me see the comments. It looks like they're coming in. Perfect. All right. So these catalogs, absolutely beautiful. So many wonderful products. I think there's something in here for everybody. So what I'm going to be showing you today is the Perennial Lavender Suite, and I'm going to be featuring everything that is on here. Both bundles that come with this suite collection. I am going to include the paper butterfly accents, and I'm also going to be using the purple fine shimmer gems. There is one card that I did case from the catalog just because I thought it was absolutely beautiful and I thought it was so cute, something different. All right, so we're going to get these out of the way and I'm going to show you all these products. So here's the painted lavender stamp set. Comes with these dies, the perennial postage with the dies, these beautiful butterflies, and those purple gems. Super, super beautiful. I'm loving this whole suite. So we're gonna move this out of the way. And the first card that we are going to make is a cute fun fold. And this is called a book binder fun fold. So you have it scored over here, and when you open it, it's just like a little book. So super cute. So we're gonna put that up here, and I have everything pre-cut. We are gonna do some die cutting. I didn't want to stamp the images before just yet, but we're gonna get all of our layers, and I have this here purposefully in the direction. Ask me how I know, because they are different measurements, and if you don't stamp it correctly, it's not going to go very well. All right, so this card base is 4 1/4 by 11, and I did score it at the 5.5 mark, and then I moved it over and scored it again at the 6.5 mark. So we're just gonna go ahead and make sure that these corners are very well creased. And because my ribbon is not going around the actual book binding, I'm gonna go ahead and glue this down. And with this, I do like to use brand new glue, the Tombow glue, just because I'm gonna use my finger here. It's a little bit faster for it to dry up. I just feel it binds a lot better. And yes, I did smash that glue on my hand. Hopefully it won't get in the way. Now we're going to put that book binding piece together. And oh, whoops, it looks like I forgot to cut a piece, but we're going to cut that very quickly. Not a big deal. So the book binding piece right here in the crumb cake is 7/8 by 4 1/4. And the designer series one is going to be 4 by 3/4 of an inch. So see, that was quick. All right, so what I'm going to do first is put these pieces together, brand new tape runner. All right, so we're going to piece that here. And I just left about 1/8 of an inch, not too much. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to use my linen thread, and I'm going to kind of center, because I want to do a knot, not a bow. And I'm going to show you what I did to fray that ribbon. And I'm just going to go around twice. I'm going to leave myself enough to make that knot. So we're going to come here, and we're just going to make a knot. There we go. Now, to put this down on my card, I had originally used tear and tape, and I didn't like the way that it held together. So I'm going to use some of my tumble glue, and I'm going to adhere that right here to that smaller scored half. Whoops. And it looks like my knot. Did I not knot this? I thought I had knotted it. Okay. Now with the liquid glue, it kind of lets me move it into place. And I'm just going to push down in these areas. Make sure that that glue adheres. All right. So we are going to take this first piece, and I'm going to make sure that I'm putting it correctly. I'm going to take my layer of DSP. Now this piece of crumb cake is 4 3/8 by 4 1/8, and my DSP is 4 1/4 by 4. So what I'm going to, as a matter of fact, I need to glue these pieces first, because we're going to do some embossing. So these pieces I cut out using the Perennial postage dies, and I pretty much used all of the postage, the rectangular postage dies that were available. All of them. Right up there, and then, so kind of just make that pattern. So 2 that are going vertically and 2 that are going horizontal. And I'm not worried about any spaces, because as you see from my original card, that lavender sprig is going to kind of cover that empty space, so I'm not worried. But I did put these close to that edge. Now before I adhere it to my crumb cake, I am going to use the Softly Sophisticated 3D embossing folder, and that one is in the Celebration mini catalog on page 14, and with a $100 purchase you can earn both the stamp set and the 3D embossing folder for free. So just so that you know, they are a pair. So I am going to bring my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine up here to my glass mat. And as we have shared, this glass mat is just absolutely amazing. So I am using plate number 1. I am going to put my paper inside of my 3D embossing folder. I'm going to put it on top of plate 1, and then I'm going to top it with plate 4. Now it is a tight squeeze, so I just try to hold on to that machine, as I don't want plates flying anywhere. They will fly. Ask me how I know. Alright, so when I take it out, it almost creates like that quilted version, which I thought was really nice. Alright, so now I'm going to bring this back and I can glue this part back onto my crumb cake. That I almost did without embossing first. Alright, so this is going to go, and again, excuse me, let me make sure, yes, okay. Just like that. And we are going to stick it flat on here as well. Jane, I am loving this suite too. There's just so many things to do with it. And actually the one that I cased from the catalog, which is going to be my last card that I show you, I used something from the Dollar Tree. Alright, so that is put together. Now on these pieces of paper, we are going to stamp that stem, and we're going to stamp the lavender. So my stem is gonna go in, whoops, garden green. And I'm gonna do my stamping first, because then when I go ahead and cut, I'm gonna run them both at the same time through my Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine. There we go. We're gonna put that there. We're going to bring back our machine so that we can die cut these pieces. And this time around, I am going to use my number 1 plate, my number 2 plate, my magic mat, which I absolutely love, and then just one of the number 3 plates. And I'm going to get my painted lavender dies here. I'm going to get that lavender. And I can go ahead and die cut both of them at the same time. So I just go ahead and line them up as best as I can. I'm going to put my number 3 plate up on top. Pass them through. Let's take this big guy out. And then we have the stems right here, and it looks like it shifted just a little bit. And we're going to make sure to put these back, because I cannot tell you how many times I've lost tiny little dies. Now to put this on, I am going to use some glue dots. And I'm going to put it on the back side of that stem. I'm just going to adhere it just like that. Now my next piece is going to be where I put some dimensionals on the back of here. And I'm like Lisa Marie, I tend to use a lot of dimensionals. I'm going to control myself this time. But I just feel that when you send these cards, the mail is a little bit rough. They're not very nice to mail. So when they run it through these machines and stuff, I just want to make sure my card is not going to fall apart. Like, I have had envelopes come to my house and they have been ripped. All right. So we're gonna go ahead and put that like that. Now I'm gonna get some more of this linen thread, and I am going to double it up because I want to make a double bow. And I want a small bow. I don't want something so big. So I can go ahead and adjust as I need it. So I really never... How much do you need? I don't know. Whatever makes you happy. Whoops. All right. And then I'm going to get another glue dot. And I'm just going to stick it right here in the middle. And for my sentiment, so what I did was I cut two pieces, one in Highland Heather and one in white. And I just went with this middle ticket looking thing, and I just cut it in half. And then I'm going to show you what I'm going to do with this as soon as I stamp my sentiment. So I'm going to stamp my sentiment in that Highland Heather ink. Just like that. And then for this part right here, I'm just going to add a little bit of glue. So you really don't want to squeeze too hard. Just want a little bit. And I kind of try to line up one of those outside ticket things with the the middle part type of thing. Just so that it peeks out just a bit. There we go. And then this is going to go on dimensionals. And I'm going to lift that bow tie ribbon, and then this, I'm just going to put it a little bit on the actual stems, and then we're going to put it here. Now to fray these pieces, and I'm going to try to put them the same size. All I do is take one end of the string and I turn it the opposite way, and then this allows me to get those individual strings that hold that linen thread together. So again, I'm just twisting the opposite way, and once I see that it opens up that way, I just start pulling each thread individually. And we're gonna go ahead and add those gems. I'm using my Take Your Pick tool. I love this tool. And I kind of, let's see, I like to use a variety of the sizes. So big and little. You can pretty much use whichever ones it is that you like to. And then, whoops, one of the darker ones used down here. Perfect. So now I'm going to do the inside of the card. I think I may need to work a little bit faster, just looking at the time. So for this one, I am going to stamp the bottom of my card, and I am doing this right here just to make sure I'm going to stamp on the right side, because the last time I didn't do it correctly. And now I have to make a card that goes the different direction. So I'm going just to get a scrap piece of paper, because I don't want it to be fully on my card, and I'm just stamping right on the bottom. Perfect. And then the next one, it's just like the little lavender bulbs, and those are going to go in Highland Heather. And these are just different heights. Just to add something to the inside of your card. So we are going to adhere this on. Just like this. And then again, and this will go in the inside of our card. And let me see, I think I've lost my measurements. I had my measurements here. I've lost them. It's all right, they went somewhere. All right, so that is our first card. So when you open it, you still have some space to write your message, but sometimes we really don't know what to write in our card. So this kind of gives us that shorter space and we don't have to write so much. So that's the first card. Oh, I found it. So the inside is pretty much, is the same, not pretty much, is the same measurements as the outside. So my crumb cake layer was 4 3/8 by 4 1/8. And then the white in the inside is 4 1/4 by 4. All right, so I'm going to move this one out of the way. And we're going to go to card number 2. Now, card number 2 is very simple. This is beginner. And all I am doing with this card is letting my paper do the talking. Now, this card base is a 5.5 by 8.5, and it's scored at 4 1/4. My designer series paper is 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. So I am just going to layer this onto my card base. And this paper right here, I think would make a wonderful background for like a scrapbook page. Now the inside of my white is also 5 3/8 by 4 1/8. And actually, before I do that, I'm going to put this piece on the bottom. And that piece is 3/4 by 4 1/8. And I'm just going to flush it along the edge. And then we're going to put it in the inside. Again, very simple card where I am letting the designer series paper do that talking. And then for this one, I'm using that same saying, but I'm actually using Gorgeous Grape on this one, which is what my card base is, which is the color of my card base, sorry. I'm just gonna quickly clean up these stamps. Can you tell how used my chamois is? But the good thing is, it still works and cleans my stamps. And all you have to do is rinse it, and any excess ink will pretty much come off. But I am going to put this in Gorgeous Grape. Just like that. And then I like to use these round sponges. And what I do is I first cut them in half, and then I cut them in half again, so it pretty much ends up being in 1/4. And what I do is I just pinch it to the top, I dip in my ink, and I just brush the sides of my paper, and I can go as deep in as I want. If I want more of that like shaded part, just know the more you go around it, the darker your edges are gonna get. Right? Now for my sample, I had actually used a ribbon that is retired. And when I realized that, I was like, great, I need to come up with something else. So what I'm going to do is I'm still going to use this linen thread. And I'm just going to wrap it around my finger a few times. And I'm going to just lay it on here. And you'd create something different. But that is perfectly fine. You can intertwine it yourself or lay it down, and however it lands like I did it, just leave it. And then I am going to put another one just because I like to make sure that my twine ribbon is secured. Stuck to my fingers. Yeah, simple. I think sometimes simple is just beautiful. Sometimes we just don't need to elaborate so much. Especially if you have some good paper that can do that background talking. Sometimes we kind of need to fluff up the card a bit because the paper doesn't do it too much justice. And then I'm going to get these beautiful brushed brass butterflies. And these are in the annual catalog. And I'm going to put a tiny one right here. And these are adhesive backed. Right there. And that is the second card. So very simple, but beautiful all in all. At least I think so. All right. And now for my last card. Now I will tell you, this one took me a little bit, and I kind of cut up some things so that it would be a little bit easier. Well, I'm hoping it is a little bit easier with a little bit of the prep that I did. All right. So my third card is actually cased from the catalog. And I absolutely, there's something about it that I loved. So that card is right here. So what I did was I went to Dollar Tree, and Dollar Tree has their spring, believe it or not, Valentine's Day, spring, everything is out, Easter, and like we hadn't even celebrated the new year when I went to go get this. But they have seeds, and they are 4 for $1. And what I did was, and I thought it was perfect because we have the lavender and we have the perennial, which fits perfect because we have the painted lavender and the perennial postage. So I thought it was just perfect coincidence that they had both packs. All right, so let me get that card kit right over here. Now this one's a little bit different because we have those seeds in there. It's kind of a different card than your traditional one. So for this one, your writing is going to go on the back. Now I left mine Highland Heather because if I write with blue or black, my message can be seen perfectly fine. But absolutely your choice. If you wanted to add a white piece, you are more than welcome to. All right, so let's get this started. Now, like I said, I did pre-cut some pieces, and I'll tell you why I did it. So when I first put the card together, I had put my designer series paper in the inside. I had folded up the envelope. I had put this Highland Heather piece on the back. And when I went to die cut, it gave me a very hard time. So what I did was, hoping that it works out this time, I got my designer series paper and my Highland Heather, and I die cut those already, hoping that the die cut will be a little bit easier once I put it into my clear envelope. So how are we going to do this? We are going to stick that designer series paper in here. And before I put the seeds, do you see how the clear envelope is bigger than the actual thing? That is perfectly fine, because what I'm going to do is I am going to tape this piece on the back. Now I don't need to worry about anybody seeing the back part, because that's where this piece in Highland Heather is going to come into play. So for this part, I am going to use some tear and tape, and I'm going to put it at the edge. And all I have to do is tear, and then I will take my, oops, this usually works a lot better. Yep. So I'm going to take that out, and I'm going to go ahead and secure that. Now, if you've noticed, I haven't done anything up here yet, because what will happen is this will fold down, okay? But before I do that, I am going to open up 2 of these packages and pour my seeds in. And pour them after you have put the designer series paper inside. Because if not, they will be hard to manage if you don't. And then I am purposefully putting it on top, if I can get this correctly, just like that. Now you can add as many packs of the seeds as you want to. And then what I'm going to do is, and here is where I ran into a little bit of trouble too, right? So before noticing where my tag die cut was gonna go, I had put adhesive on here. Big mistake. Because then what happens is when you die cut, it's not only trying to die cut through the clear envelope, the designer series paper, clear envelope again, and the Highland Heather cardstock, but the adhesive as well. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to cut this part off right over here, because I don't need that. And I'm going to use my tear and tape again. Yeah, it's crazy how all this Valentine's Day stuff and the Easter stuff and everything was out, and I am going to need the paper here because I can't see the difference between the clear envelope and the glass mat. It was crazy, but guilty. I did already get some Valentine's Day stuff. Because you know what happens? You always think, oh, it's too early to buy this stuff. I will get it later. And what happens is when you go later, they don't have it anymore. So do you see here, my adhesive is going to end up right underneath where I'm going to go ahead and die cut this again. So before I adhere this part, I'm going to die cut. So I am going to need, and that little tag thing is from the Perennial postage dies right over here. So we are going to need our Mama die cut and emboss machine. And we're gonna put this here, and I am going to use some washi tape because I want to make sure that it is right where it needs to be. let me get this, and I am going to run this through a few times just to make sure. So I'm gonna run it forwards, I'm gonna run it backwards, I'm gonna run it through again. And I'm not rolling it all the way through because I don't want to squish all those seeds. Remember, you have the seed on there. So let's see how this turned out. All right. And it squashed some of my seeds. All right, so it didn't cut through to the next one, but it is perfectly fine because it cut through the first one. And all we're gonna do now is reverse it, right? So this, like I said, this was a little bit of a struggle, but I did want to recreate it as much as I could. And I ended up squishing some of my seeds. But it did cut through, so we are good to go. All I had to do was just cut a little bit at the bottom. Not a big deal. It is clear. Like Lisa Marie had mentioned earlier this morning, we are not perfect. And nobody is going to look at it and be like, oh, it didn't cut all the way through. Look what happened. Some of my seeds got squished in there. It's okay. Because it's going to be covered by this. So not a big deal. So before I lose this die cut piece, I'm going to make sure that I put him back. All right, now for my layering, I did cut a piece of vellum using the postage dies, and then my crumb cake piece is 1 3/4 by 2 1/2. And for that one, I used from the Perennial Postage, Happy Mother's Day. And I had originally done it in our craft white, and for me it was too light. So we are going to do some quick embossing. Whoops. And with the embossing, we are going to use the Versamark. We're going to use some white powder. Now, the white powder that I have is not from Stampin' Up, but Stampin' Up does have white powder to use. So what we're going to do is we're going to take this guy off. We are going to ink up our stamp, and Versamark is a watermark stamp, and we're going to do this towards the bottom. Now you can't see it because it is a clear ink, but it does leave that watermark, so hopefully you can kind of see that. And then what I'm going to do is get some white embossing powder, and I'm just going to sprinkle it just to make sure it gets all over that ink. I'm going to shake off the excess, and you can see right here we're gonna put this aside, and you're gonna hear a bit of noise, and that's just going to be my heat gun to emboss that powder. So as it heats up, it will become that raised embossing look, and you can see how it starts to turn that color. Perfect. Awesome. All right. Now before we adhere that down, we are going to get one of these butterflies, and I had used this butterfly right here, and they are laser cut already. I'm trying to keep them as much in the package as I can, just because I don't want them being loose anywhere. Whoops. And then for this one, what I did, let's see, where I had it around here. Here we go. So for this one, I am going to use some of our blending brushes. I'm going to bring this paper here, and I am going to use Highland Heather just because it's a lighter ink, and this is for my purples, and I just rub to get that ink, and see, kind of just a little bit, so I can press down just to get more, and then I'm just gonna come through the edges, and I can put as much as I want, as little as I want, just to give it a little bit of an effect. So I'm gonna leave it just like that. I kind of want that body part to be there. And you can even form a pattern on your paper if you wanted to. So we're gonna put this one away. Let's put this plunger pen here. Let's bring our pieces. And I do need these extra pieces again. I'm looking at time. All right. I am definitely pushing it close, but that's okay. We are going to take that guy off. We're going to put this one, and again, in Highland Heather, we are going to stamp. And because this is a smaller piece, I can use my mini Stampin' Cut and Emboss machine, because I don't need to haul that big one up here. And we're gonna get that lavender piece here. All right, so I've got my number 1 plate, my number 2 plate, and here we go. We're just gonna pass that through. Close this guy up, because the other sprigs that are back there, I've got those cut out already. So those sprigs I did pre-cut. Whoops. Oh no. Here we go. I got it. All right. So these guys are just gonna kind of peek out through the top, and I am going to put some of this tape right here. And it's just gonna peek out through the sides and a little bit on the bottom. And we're gonna put our lavender back here too. I kind of want it sticking out a little bit more, so we're gonna put it just like that. And we're gonna put our Happy Mother's Day on some dimensionals. I keep checking my time. I'm just like cutting it very, very close. All right, and then this guy is gonna go right here. And we are going to put our butterfly on here as well. And we are going to use this Precision fine tip glue pen, which you cannot squeeze too hard. You just kind of have to like let it come out and flow. Otherwise, you will get this glue everywhere. But this is good for these tiny edges that, you know, you can't use that. I mean, you could use the tumble glue, but it just creates more of a mess, I think. And we're gonna put that there. Perfect. And for this part, we are going to, not the tumble glue because it is that clear envelope. And we don't have to worry about it showing. So it's gonna go just right here. And then I'm going to use, so this ribbon comes in a combo pack. It's the Real Red with the burlap ribbon. But obviously I'm not using the Real Red. So for this, we just loop it through and cut at an angle. And then this is from the Baker's Twine Essential Pack. So I'm using the white, and we're just going to make a knot. And then we'll put the backing. There we go. And then this guy will stick in the back. Oh, and I made a boo-boo, but I will fix it. We can fix this. We're supposed to put this before I put the ribbon. Not a big deal. So I am going to make sure that I kind of like flush it with that opening. Perfect. And then now we can put that ribbon through again. And oh boy, I'm looking at my time. I've got like 5 minutes. And I think Rebecca is coming on now at 1 o'clock. I'm not sure. You're setting up still. Thanks, Rebecca. So sorry. I'm just like trying to rush here. And this is with pretty much everything like pre-cut. All right, guys. So I'm going to bring all the projects back in so that you can see them. So we've got that first card. We've got that second card. And then, of course, the beautiful Mother's Day one. So there we go. Those are my projects for the Perennial Lavender. I hope you guys enjoyed, and stay tuned. Rebecca is coming on in about 4 minutes. So again, thank you guys so much for watching, and I will be back on at 4 o'clock with Notes of Nature. All right, guys, I will see you guys later. Bye.